Hey friends, who's ready for story time? I am. Today we're going to be learning about Samkhya philosophy, and this is something that will take you deep down the rabbit hole. So I hope you stay for the whole story, and if you like it, we can talk a little bit more about it when it's done. So without further ado, here we go. Once upon a time, there was a planet called Purusha. You could say that Purusha was a perfect place to live. Everyone was happy and there was a sense of timelessness and limitlessness. In fact, the people of Purusha were absolutely complete in every way. The only problem was that in all that vast kingdom, there wasn't a mirror to be found. Without a mirror, the Purushans couldn't see themselves, and in fact couldn't know themselves at all, because in Purusha there was no sense of separation. One day the Purushans heard about a faraway planet called Prakriti, where it was possible to know oneself in a world of duality with the world out there and a separate me to experience it. This world of duality could be experienced through sound, touch, sight, taste, and smell. So it was indeed a mirror for all five senses. By traveling to Prakriti, the Purushans would be able to have all of the limitless peace and joy of planet Purusha, and also to be conscious of it, a journey of exploration and learning, to return to Purusha both whole and aware of their wholeness. To make the journey to planet Prakriti, the Purushans needed spacecraft that could withstand the atmosphere when they arrived. So they built their ships from the same five elements that compose planet Prakriti: earth, water, fire, air, and space. Each ship was handcrafted and had individual characteristics, but overall they fit into three basic models. The Kapha ships were dense and solid, the Pitta ships were fiery, with powerful engines, and the Vata models were light and quick. The ship itself was called the body. At the center of each ship was the main occupant called spirit, which carried the essence of limitless freedom and consciousness, the hallmark of planet Purusha. Each ship also had a pilot called mind. Only through the integration of body, mind, and spirit would the journey be possible. At the beginning of their journey, the Purushans installed a powerful transmitter in space so they would always be in touch with planet Purusha. This transmitter to and from Purusha was called Mahat, which means the Great. Each spacecraft also had an ultra-intelligent onboard computer called Buddhi, to make sure that signals coming from Purusha were received. In this way, the pilot of the ship would always be in touch with planet Purusha. All the ships left Purusha together, but each had a unique journey. The Kapha crafts were heavy and slow, but made steady progress. The Pitta craft excelled in perfect performance, but when things went wrong, time was lost going over details again and again, and looking for who to blame. The Vata craft had the most exciting journey, exploring different universes and planets, but more than once forgetting where they had left the keys to the spaceship and losing time. In the end, all the spaceships arrived at the same time. As they neared planet Prakriti, the pilots prepared the sensing devices they would need for exploration. One set of sensing devices was the Jnana Nidras, or instruments for knowing, such as ability to hear, touch, see, taste, and smell. The other were instruments for action called Karmendriyas, such as ability to speak, touch, move, grasp, eliminate, waste, and even to procreate little Purushan ships. As the ships neared planet Prakriti, they encountered a series of unexpected storms that formed part of its atmosphere. There were storms of tremendous energy and turbulence called rajas. There were also doldrums called tamas, in which nothing moved at all. These cycles of rajas and tamas were interspersed with moments of perfect balance called sattva, when the journey flowed smoothly and effortlessly. All the ships managed to reach planet Prakriti, but the journey was a costly one. Most of the pilots arrived traumatized and suffered from chronic recurring amnesia, in which they forgot their original mission of exploration and self-knowledge in order to return to planet Purusha. They became mesmerized with the sense experiences on planet Prakriti and came to believe they were there just to experience their equipment and drive their spaceships around in circles in the parking lot at the mall. The pattern of driving their ships around in circles confused about their mission in life is called samsara. There were a few, however, who remembered their true identity and purpose. These were the rishis, or seers and gurus, the ones who could lead the people from the circular traffic patterns of planet Prakriti back to the remembrance of who they really are as citizens of Purusha. Those that decide to make the trip back first needed to repair their ships from the damage caused by the chronic stress of sensory overload common on planet Prakriti. These repair stations used a science called Ayurveda to put the 5 elements the ships were made from back into balance. Sometimes all of the ship's systems had to be completely cleaned out in a process called panchakarma. Once in balance, the ships needed to have a path laid out for their journey home, and one of the clearest of these was compiled by a sage named Patanjali, a manual on how to return to planet Purusha in 8 steps called Ashtanga Yoga. The first 2 steps, called Yama and Niyama, were guides for conduct and behavior on the journey home. The 3rd step, Asana, was for keeping the ship stable and comfortable to ensure its structure along the way. The 4th step, Pranayama, involved having adequate energy for the journey and using this energy wisely. The 5th step, Pratyahara, involved removing the attention of the pilot from all of the distractions on planet Prakriti so they could refocus on their true mission. The 6th step, Dharana, involved setting a course and staying that course all the way home. And the 7th step, Dhyana, or meditation, is the journey itself, with all the ship's systems, body, mind, and spirit, functioning in an integrated way, guided by Buddhi in contact with Mahat to maintain a continuous communication with the energy of peace and joy from planet Purusha. Just before arriving back to planet Purusha, the ships paused in a realm called Unmanifest Prakriti. In this space, the 3 gunas are in perfect stillness. With the gunas balanced, all 5 elements are also naturally balanced, and all crew members could experience perfect health. This stopping point on the journey is also important because it allows all the crew members to see that living on planet Prakriti in itself is not a problem. It is just a question of finding balance. Through the methodology of Ashtanga Yoga, many of the ships were able to return home and once there reassume their true identity as citizens of planet Purusha and return to a state of peace, wholeness, and harmony called Samadhi, the final step of the 8-limb journey. These explorers, however, were not the same as when they left. Now they had with them the mirror of consciousness. They knew planet Prakriti and the world of duality, and now, by returning to planet Purusha, they were complete and whole and knew it to be so. The final and deepest learning from this journey is that planet Purusha and planet Prakriti are actually one. The world of matter and the world of spirit are not opposed to each other, and our own version of planet Prakriti, called Earth, is calling out to us to treat her with love and reverence so that Purusha and Prakriti may live together in peace and joy, happily ever after. The end. Now, wasn't that an interesting story? How far down the rabbit hole did you go? And I'm curious, what are your thoughts? What are your main takeaways? Comment below. Night, night.